What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Power of Progression. I am super pumped to introduce my guest to you guys today. Her name is Natalie Jill. Natalie is a fat loss expert turned high performance coach. She helps people across the world reach their health, business, and life goals, all by empowering them to level up and create everything from nothing. Natalie left the corporate world to follow her passion with health and personal development. But guys, it didn't start easy. It actually started with rock bottom. She had, been divorced, overweight, financial problems, and that created depression, anger, and so much more. But she decided not to use that as an excuse, but use it as power. And she did something I always talk about. She changed her state and turned it all around. Now, as a licensed master sports nutritionist, a fat loss expert, and a functional fitness trainer, Natalie leveraged the power of internet, and in a short amount of time, she has blown up and has helped hundreds of thousands of people worldwide get in shape and create the ultimate version of themselves. This part I love, guys, because I didn't know this until I read it, but she kills fat for a living, and not just the fat in your body, but false, assumed truths that you tell yourself. And in the process, she's created a globally recognized brand with well over 2.5 million social media followers. She's also created an online business that has consistently generated 7 figures a year and has been recognized by Forbes for 2 years running as one of the top health and wellness influencers in the world. And she is here to help you kill fat. My guest, Natalie. What is going on, girl? How you feeling
Thanks
today?
for having me. I need you to do my intro all the time. That was really good.
What I'll do is I'll record it and then just go ahead and give me royalties on it.
Yeah, you make me sound really special.
I love it. Thank you for joining me. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great.
Good,
Thanks.
good. So where are you located right now? Just so my guests are
San Diego, California.
San Diego. Awesome. I will be there during the June Gloom month. I'll be out there in June running a mastermind.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll be in the Coronado area. So I'm so excited to have you on. I've been watching you on social media, and I love what you're all about. Creativity, you're having fun, and you're just putting yourself out there and gaining a lot of traction doing so. Obviously, the numbers don't lie on that. What I want to do, though, is I talked about in the intro your past a little bit. But before we really get into when you fell into the depression, when you started becoming overweight and the financial problems, let's kind of go back a little bit further, if you don't mind. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing, what it looked like growing up as Natalie.
Yeah, I don't have any craziness in my upbringing. I don't have, my rock bottom really started more in my adulthood. Quite the opposite of a lot of people that achieve success and had just like this crazy upbringing. I came from a really great family. We were, middle class, and my parents were together until my dad passed away when I was in my early 20s. But my parents were married. I had a brother and a sister, really lived in a nice neighborhood. Nothing that really stood out as craziness. But what's interesting is that's almost what created the problem because I had this expectation that everybody's supposed to be like that. That's supposed to be normal. Like, you're not supposed to have debt. You're supposed to go to college and get a corporate job. You're supposed to, I had this Brady Bunch image of what world is supposed to look like. So it was really sort of a shocker later to me when I started having problems and started having issues, because I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what that was. And I felt like I had to hide it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people need to hear that, because people that are listening, some may have grown up in this, good family, nothing great, but nothing bad. And they're like, only people that achieve success are either it was handed to them, quote unquote, or something bad happened to them. And that was a rock bottom. But as you stated, that was also a crutch that you utilized, was growing up in this family that, everything was good. When you got out into the quote unquote real world, you realized, man, there's some ugly out here. And it wasn't something that you were used to. So you go ahead, you graduate from high school. Did you go to college? If so?
Yeah, I went to college. I went to the University of Maryland. I was very average. I was not a good student, but I was average. I got by, and I did what everyone's supposed to do. I went to college, got a job in corporate, and, got married in my mid 30s, had a kid. I was living what looked like this perfect, life. But what people didn't know, this was around 2008, 2009, when the housing market crashed, the stock market crashed, everything had gone wrong. And, I was in a really weird place, because nothing unusual about getting married and having a baby and gaining extra weight and even going through a divorce, which is what I was doing. But what was unusual about it is that everything was going wrong at the same time. I mean, literally, I found myself not being able to pay my mortgage, all of a sudden in debt, and becoming a single mom, and having to take a job demotion because I didn't know how I was going to do that as a single mom, and had this extra weight. So a lot of stuff happening at once. And then what made it super challenging is I felt it was my own limiting belief. It was my own false assumed truth that I, couldn't tell anybody this. I had to pretend. I didn't know how to share that I was going through all these struggles because that wasn't acceptable. I mean, no one told me this. I just believed that.
Yeah. And that's a limited belief a lot of people have. I think it's just that fear of being judged in that moment, whether it's, you're 20 or you're 40 or you're 50 or 70, the fear of being judged is huge in us. But what were you going through not being able to tell somebody? Because somebody listening to this right now may be in that same situation. There may be things going on internally that they're just like, they want to get out, but they don't know how. First, let me ask you this, actually. What questions, what things did you say? Were you victim mentality back then? Were you victim mentality before you change it all around? When you started overweight and then the financial problems, what was the mentality like in Natalie? Because right now it's killer, right? Like,
yeah. So I've actually never, one thing my dad really drilled into me as a kid was that it's nobody else's fault. I mean, he always told me that early on, like it's never somebody else's fault. No matter what your situation, it's your fault. You're 100% responsible 100% of the time. That was drilled in my head as a little girl. So if I was hurt, it was my fault. If I anything was my, and not in a way where he was blaming me and making me feel terrible, but I learned early on not to blame others. So in a way, I've never had that victim mentality, but sometimes that's almost even worse because I refuse to think, anything else was wrong in the world. It was literally all on me. And that's what caused that depression because I thought, wow, I really screwed up. I've really done this. Like the whole market was crashing and I was mad at myself, it takes two to get a divorce and I was blaming myself. It's like there was a lot happening and I just blamed myself. So I didn't have victim mentality. I did feel sorry for myself, but more because I was in beat up mode of all the stuff I had done wrong.
And do you think people right now, I think it's a big thing right now, people are beating themselves up for things that are going wrong in their life and it's putting them into a depression? You think that's going on a lot right now?
I mean, I think there's a lot of things that cause depression. I don't know what it would be, but I'll say that the problem with victim mode is there's really no option to get out of it. When you're in victim mode and you feel sorry for yourself, all that ends up happening is you enroll others in why they should feel sorry for you too. And nothing changes, nothing shifts. And it's really a terrible spot to be in because you're basically giving up when you're in victim mode. And believe me, every single person on this planet has a million problems. Like depending on, they might not be big problems to somebody else, but everybody has problems. And you have a choice every day to enroll others in your problems and stay stuck there. And literally nothing changes. Or you can learn that to be accountable and find solutions for that. So as far as depression, I'm certainly not somebody to diagnose people with that, but I would say there's a number of reasons that would happen. And I think this is something that maybe others don't talk about. It's not only victims that go to depression. There's a lot of people that are super hard on themselves and always accountable. And they really literally never think that anything else happened to them.
How would one go ahead and not be so hard on themselves? Because I'm kind of in that same boat, right? Like I take a lot of ownership in what I do as a leader. I want to take ownership, but there has to be that fine line. How would you tell the people that are listening, find that fine line so you don't cause that stress that's going to cause so many things to go wrong? You're in the fitness world. You know what stress does to you in so many areas, right? So what can somebody do to get out of that mentality?
So when in doubt, it's tell the truth and be authentic. And that's the bigger problem is all the fakeness. And I don't mean fake in like what someone looks like. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean fakeness and like people trying to act like they're somebody they're not and not being real with what's going on. Like there's nothing wrong with having a struggle. Now there's something wrong with enrolling everybody in why the world sucks and it's happening to you. But to say, hey, I'm going through a struggle and I'm working to get out of it is actually really empowering and it's relatable and it's real. So I my answer to that goes back to the Bible, really. It's like tell the truth. It's like literally tell the truth. Like when in doubt, tell the truth, because that's really the whole problem here is everyone's in this world of faking it and feeling like they have to people please or be somebody that they're not or compete with somebody else. And that's just not real or authentic. And that's a big problem right there.
Oh, I love that. I think being authentic is in especially kind of our space and our world, you see a lot of stuff that people aren't authentic, and it's hard because, you know, we are the biggest liars to ourselves, and I'm doing a TED talk about it as well. And we are the biggest liars to ourselves. And it's hard to get out of that. And I love how you said, just speak up and tell the truth. Like that's the first thing to do, is admit you're having a problem, because you don't know what other people might know that could help you. Right.
Totally.
Is there anybody that helped you get out of that funk, or was it all Natalie just really changing?
So at the time when I've had many things that have happened in my life, and I realize they've happened for me. So sometimes when I've gone through those rock bottom spots, they end up being the best thing after. I mean, they always do. And I know that now. Like I know when they come, like they suck, but you know there's something on the other side. So at that time then, what got me out of that was, like, I was in a 3-month funk for sure. What got me out of that was literally hearing John Asseroff and watching Oprah and hearing about vision boards. And I made a vision board, and it sounds so woo-woo, but I made a vision board, which I'm looking at a new vision board now. I always have a vision board now. And I just thought, if I can't remember what it felt like to be fit or happy or healthy, like I need to find some images that will make me think that, because if you can evoke a feeling from an image, then you can start visualizing what that possibility could be for you. So I started with the vision board. I put fit girls on there. I put happiness. I put the beach, ocean. I just put anything that made me feel good. And I would stare at that vision board, and I would imagine what it was like to be living in that, because it's the same thing I would teach now. Like, you can't go somewhere or change if you don't know what that vision is. Like, you have to have a vision of what you want, and you got to do whatever it takes to get that vision going in your head. And then if you can just start thinking about it and visualizing it, your body doesn't actually know the difference between it really happening or you visualizing it. Yep. So I did that, and I used to stare at that board and think, okay, if I was that fit girl on that board, what would I be doing? Well, I certainly wouldn't be sitting here eating Doritos. I'd be walking. I would be drinking more water. I would be eating fish. I'd be eating broccoli. Okay, I'm going to start acting like that girl. If I was living at the beach like that picture, what would I be doing? Well, I'd be walking at the beach. I'm going to go walk on the beach. It's not about a woo-woo thing. It's about having a vision and then taking massive action towards those things.
You just hit the nail on the head on so many different things there. Guys, you need to be taking notes, because we talk about vision boards a lot. I'm a huge believer in it. I truly believe it has a lot to do with my success and things that happen in my life, right? From having a baby to buying a house that I got. And I look at my vision board every day like you. So I look at it every single day. And I'm a true believer in it. At first, I was a little like, all right, is this really going to work?
Yeah.
And then I think you said something that's huge there. You said your mind doesn't know, what's real and what's not. You look at it on a negative side, right? We look at these negative things, and our mind doesn't know if that's reality or if that's just what we're feeding ourselves. So it acts in a negative way. So it goes good and bad. And I think people need to catch themselves when they do that.
There's my favorite movie. Have you seen, it's a chick flick, it's maybe not, it's called I Feel Pretty. Have you heard of that movie?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with that movie. Anyone who hasn't watched it, they should watch it, because literally, like, she bumps her head and thinks she's a supermodel, and like her whole life changes just because she thinks she's a supermodel.
Me and my wife were watching that, and I was like, oh my God, this has so many good lessons in it.
So good.
She's like, how
I've watched it like 10 times.
All these movies. But yeah, it's a very good movie. But people, it's the lens that we look at things through. And what would you say if somebody's sitting there right now and they're like, okay, well, I don't know I don't know what success looks like, right? You know, you wanted to be fit, you wanted to beach, so on and so forth. People may have trouble right now. Like, okay, well, I don't know how to know what success looks like.
Well, it's baby steps. It's just the focus is getting better than yesterday. That's literally it. Like, if you look at, I don't know what I'm doing in 5 years. Like, I don't have that kind of vision. Like, I don't know. I barely know what I'm doing in 3 months. Like, I have a general direction of where I'm headed, and that's okay. But it's, can I get better today than yesterday? And can I focus purposefully on my passions and give back and focus out? So it's those little steps. So it's like getting better than yesterday. Like, if you have 100 pounds to lose, what can you do today that's a little better than yesterday? Can you walk a little bit? Can you drink some water? Can you have a piece of broccoli? Maybe not all broccoli. Like, if you just take those actions that are better than yesterday, you're going to get somewhere.
So that's what this whole podcast is about. It's to help people be better today than they were yesterday. And with what you've just dropped, I know it's helping people if they implement. That's where the problem comes. It's information versus implementation. Have you ever had trouble with that? Like, you got so much information that you just didn't implement?
Yeah, I definitely do not have an implementation problem. My husband hasn't implemented. We talk about this all the time. We have different problems. I'm a ready, fire, and then I think about aiming. He's ready, aim, and then later he fires. So it's a very different way. And there's neither right or wrong. It's just the way I'm wired. I take massive action quickly. Like I decided I was going to start a podcast about 6 weeks ago. I recorded 35 episodes within, a month, and it was like done. So I don't hesitate. But I also end things quickly when they no longer are serving me or others. So I'm very quick I don't have attachment to things. Like I might do something fully committed for a year and decide that it's no longer serving its purpose, and I will just cut it off. I don't analyze it. So it's a little bit different. There's good and bad with both of it. So no, I do not have an issue implementing personally, but I realize that's not the natural thing of people.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat. I'm massive, aggressive, annoying action. Same thing. I decided to do a podcast, and within 5 weeks, 30 episodes.
Yeah. So it's just action taker. And there's lessons for both of those, and it's interesting because my husband and I are both performance coaches. That's a passion project of ours. And we're very different. If somebody is ready to take action, I'm their person, but like we knock it out in 2 or 3 calls. It's like, we're done. 2 or 3 calls, you got a plan. If they're stuck on, I don't even know, then he'll do that deep work. And he's the one that will spend the every week call with them for a year. It's just very different.
It's the yin and yang that works though, right?
Yeah.
It absolutely works. You said you cut things off. Like you're easy to be able to say, okay, this doesn't align anymore. What filter do you run that through? I think that's what people
honestly, it's just a gut. I would like to bring in more logic to it. Like, for instance, I consistently added 2 YouTube videos a week for years, and I just decided I didn't want to do it anymore. That doesn't mean I'll never do it again. But I stopped because those videos I have out there are getting more and more views. There's only so many ways I can do a butt exercise. I've done it. I've done what I want to do with fitness and nutrition. I'll still continue to do some as I feel like it, but I didn't feel like continuing to build that at this time. So I just stopped, and nobody cares. Nobody asked. Nobody said, why aren't you releasing 2 more videos a week? It doesn't matter. Those videos are still getting views. And if I feel like picking it up again, I will. So it's really just making a decision based on what's serving me at the moment and what's serving my audience.
YouTube, you have a few subscribers, right?
I do have a lot of subscribers there. It's the same thing. I could say that about Facebook and Instagram. I mean, my Facebook has almost 2 million people. And at one point I used to record a new video every single day to put on Facebook. And at some point I was like, wow, I have 5,000 workout videos. What if I reposted them? Is anyone going to know or care? No one's ever said, wow, you posted this, a year ago, and this, no one cares. Nope. It's still content. So it's about, I don't get in my head much, and I just go.
That's huge. Not getting in. That's where people don't take action. I think you'd agree with that.
Yes.
Because we overanalyze things, and the law of diminishing intent says the longer you wait to do something, the less likely you are to do it.
Correct.
Right? And so just getting out there and doing it. So you go from this, you were depressed, you were overweight, you changed your you changed your state, and you started this business. You left the corporate world. Mm-hmm. Like, how did you get so big so fast as far as getting so many followers, blowing your business up? It happened rather quick. How did you do it? Because if somebody wants to start a business, they want to hear, how did you do it?
Yeah. So it's actually, I know people love tacticals, and I'm going to give you some. However, it really isn't about the how. It's about the vision and the purpose and the passion behind it. If you have a vision for something and there is a solution to others within your vision, meaning if you have a vision to create something or serve, and it's going to help solve a problem, and you're passionate about it and consistent, it's going to work, period. It doesn't matter the how. It honestly doesn't. It's about that. So my very first product was my 7-Day Jumpstart, which is now a best-selling book in stores. However, it was originally an ebook that I did in a weekend. I did it in a weekend because when I was going through my own transformation, I was sharing on Facebook. I had 100 people following me. I did not have thousands. I didn't have hundreds of thousands. I didn't have 2 million. I had 100. And I shared what I was eating, what I was doing, and I was real. I just shared, hey guys, I'm feeling really out of shape. I'm down. I'm going to get myself back. This is what I'm doing. Follow along if you want. I just shared. No goal, no motive, just sharing. And I was excited about it. And as I was sharing and getting results, people were asking questions. So inevitably I made an ebook. And I didn't, again, it's laughable, the ebook I made then compared to the book that it is now. But I did an ebook as a PDF with BlackBerry phone photos, and I stuck it
Nice.
out on Facebook, and people loved it and they bought it, and it helped people. It helped them. I didn't have a sales page. I didn't have any of that. So I didn't know. Like people would say, I want it. I'd send them a PayPal. I'd email it to them. I didn't have a team. I didn't have automation. I didn't have any of that. So when people say I can't because, it's like, well, I did that. And I think, my husband laughs about it now. I asked him to proofread it, and he said, I don't have time. He was like watching something on TV, and he told me that no one would buy it. So that product turned into several $1,000,000 pretty quickly, and is now a best-selling book in stores. So my lesson to everyone in that is, don't overthink it. Just go, just do it.
I'm taking notes down. So yeah, you should be taking notes too. That just don't overthink it. Just go.
Just go.
Start before you're ready, right?
Yeah. And just figure it out as you go. Like it doesn't take imperfect action. Just go.
Yeah.
Just go. What's the worst thing that happens? Seriously. I'll tell you, the worst thing that happened is somebody sent me a message and said, wow, you should have had someone edit this. And you know what? I should have, but it doesn't matter. It's edited now. It looks great now. It's a book.
I just love it because people hit me up all the time. No, look, I went to public schools. I really was barely in class. I was doing drugs all the time. Yeah, I barely opened a book. I'm not going to lie. I'm probably not the best with grammar.
Mm-mm.
So I go ahead and I put things out. People are like, you spelt this wrong.
Yeah,
So
I don't really care. Yeah, I just
trying to figure out Google how to, whether it's two with one O or two O's. I would have never done it. So I'm in the same world as you as far as just go. And those who want to pick and point at the little things.
It doesn't even, I'm sure I do make grammar mistakes. Yeah. I don't even care anymore. I mean, I got it. Like, it's important, but so is other things. Like, is it more important that I like grammar checked it, or is it more important that I got it out there and then went and spent time with my family? Like, really, honestly, I gotta prioritize what's important to me. I got the information out. I didn't charge you for it. It's free, whatever. So what? I have a misspelled word on, it's not the end of the world. So,
and expect more.
They need bigger problems.
Yes. So you talked about having that purpose and that passion, and that's kind of like the main driver. What is yours? What is that big purpose, that passion?
God, it changes all the time. It honestly does change all the time. There's a consistent theme, but it does change. And I don't apologize for it changing. So for instance, when for years, I was in medical sales and dental implants. Like, I don't care about dental implants at all. I know more about teeth than I ever cared to know in my life. I changed out of that. I then launched a fitness and nutrition business. And that it started as nutrition, it evolved into fitness. That then evolved into business. I did a lot of business coaching. I did not love business coaching, but I did that. I actually spoke all over the country on how to grow social media. I created some programs. They're still out there. I'm not passionate about that anymore, so I don't share that as much. And then now that's really evolved into more personal development, because I can repeatedly find that what's in the gap with people with fat loss, with putting on muscle, with changing their body, and what's in their gap with business and relationships and life is the personal development stuff. So they come to me for, how do I make money, or how do I lose fat? And really, it's the other stuff. So that's what I'm most passionate about right now.
Yeah. And why are you passionate about that? Why do you care so much? Because maybe some people don't get it, but why do you care so much?
Because it's what makes the lasting difference, and it's what changes people's lives. To me, like, could I get you to get a 6-pack and a nice butt with an eating plan? Sure. Is that really rewarding long-term? No. I'd rather dig deeper, and let's get your whole life changed, and let's have you making money and in a happy marriage, and, enjoying your life and living. So, and then, when you're doing those things, guess what happens to your body? It looks amazing because you're happy. Yep. So it all goes together. Like, it's all important. It's all important, but that mindset piece is so important for us.
It is. I had a personal training company. I still do. And I was passionate about it because it helped me. I was extremely angry. I come from, I always wanted to fight people. And what I found is, through my fitness, my anger lowered, right? And I was in control more, and I started looking even better than I ever did. And I was like, oh my God, I can help people with their anger problem. And I started getting all these clients, and I had that passion. Then I realized 100 clients, maybe 5 are going to get results because it's in between their ears. I mean, that's the issue.
Yeah.
So let's work with that. And that is where it all starts. That is where it starts. And,
yes.
And you talked about, you were here, then you weren't so in love with it. So you moved over here, and you weren't so in love with it anymore. So you moved over here. How many times did you fail during the processes?
I've had many failures, but they don't stay as failures in my mind for long. They are usually a failure right when it's happening and you're going through it, but there's always a huge opportunity on the other side of it. That's a big shift that works amazing. So I've had that happen many, many, many times, and it always ends up being really, really powerful. For instance, I could say that I had a huge business failure about a year ago. Huge business failure. And that failure I didn't even know it was a failure until I dove into things. But what the failure was I was bringing in all kinds of revenue, but my expenses were way exceeding my revenue coming in. So I was paying so much more for consultants, material, marketing, writer, everything, a team, than I was actually bringing in. So I was losing money on my business. That felt like a failure. And in my stuckness, because if we make decisions out of stress and being stuck, they're usually not the best decisions. In my stuckness and without getting into the analyzing and what's going on, I decided that I just needed to sell more and hire and spend more. So it's like, that's the solution. I will sell more and now maybe if I hire this person because they're more expensive, maybe this one because they're even more. And I kept digging myself in this crazy hole. So until it really bottomed out and it felt like a failure, but it's not a failure because what that did is it forced me to wake up and really look at things I didn't want to look at and make a lot of shifts that turned me profitable right away and created a new vision for me.
It all happens for a reason.
It all happens for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's there's no such thing as coincidence. And the reason why I ask you that is because I think people are scared to fail or they're so amped and excited about starting a business. They're trying to get everything together. And they have to realize that more than likely that business isn't going to be the business that they end with, right?
Yes.
There's going to be so many things that they're going to learn that they don't like, that there's a different direction, more opportunity. So whatever you are passionate about right now, as Natalie said, just go, go. Because in a year, there's a high chance that you may shift your focus all because you've learned a lot throughout that process. But if you don't start today, a year from now, you're going to be maybe starting and you missed a whole entire year of growth, development, and just really building relationships. Curious about your day. I think the most important 4 hours of our day are the 2 when we first wake up and then the 2 before we go to sleep. I think that is truly what can define our week, our month, our year, our future. What does the 2 look like when you wake up and the 2 before you go to sleep?
Yeah. In a perfect world, I'll give you my perfect morning. And honestly, it happens like 4 or 5 mornings. And I don't believe anyone that says it happens 7 mornings. I'm like calling BS on that. I'm like, cause that just doesn't happen, especially if you have a kid. But this is my perfect morning. If I could do this every morning, I would be perfect, but this is not, but in the perfect morning, I don't wake up to my cell phone. It's nowhere to be found. I wake up in the morning. I ground myself in what I'm grateful for. I journal a little bit about that. I set my intention for what I want the day to go like without getting into a to-do list. I get up, I go make a great breakfast. I journal a little bit, drink water, go play with my dog, get my daughter up, bring her to school, listen to a podcast, typically as I'm getting ready or while I'm driving back after dropping her off, get my mind right, come home and then look at my day and think, okay, what are the 3 most important things that I have to do today to get my business to move forward. And I do those first before checking email or anything else. And then I do my workout. So that's in an ideal world. Now, in a not so ideal world, what always messes me up is my cell phone. If I grab the cell phone first, I'm done. I start reacting. I start comparing. I start judging. I start scrolling. Yeah, and I know not to do it, but I'm definitely not perfect. And I do it sometimes. Yeah.
I preach about this, Natalie. I don't know. I mean, probably at least 60% of my own podcast and on Facebook and Instagram. And the reason why is because I know what it does. I've done it.
I do it. I still do it.
And exactly. It happens to me.
It's addiction.
And I know what happens. And do you have any suggestions for people? And I want to get into what you do before you go to sleep.
Yeah. My suggestion is put your phone in your other room. That's one. And use like an old phone for your alarm. So but the other day, I put my phone in the other room and I never heard my alarm. So that was a problem. So then I put it back and then I start the morning the wrong way. So you got to figure out the solutions there. So yeah, that's solution 1. Number 2 is take email off your phone. Now, again, I will say it, not perfect. I have literally deleted email off my phone 100 times. And then I'll decide to download it from bed, I'm just owning it. I've done it.
Yep.
But yeah, my solution would be to take it off your phone and check it at designated times. It makes your day and your life go a lot easier.
We're waiting for that instant gratification. That's it.
It's an addiction.
It is.
It's an addiction.
We are addicted to distraction. And it's a distraction is all it is. What about the 2 before you go to sleep?
Yeah, I'm good with before I go to sleep. So the last thing I typically do is I don't do electronics at night. So, and I'm not a TV person. I don't watch TV. So when my day is done, typically I have like 2 big massage chairs, which I'm obsessed with. So I love reading. So I'll go read and I'll sit in that chair and like kind of my downtime to read and do that. I'll typically brain dump anything that's like lingering in my head put it on my desk so I can deal with it later, get it out of my head. And then I go to bed pretty early. I go to bed by 9.
What time do you wake up?
Usually by 5 or 6. Usually by 5 or 6.
And you said you read a lot. What's one of your favorite books and why?
I read a lot. And at any given time, I have like 10 books on my table. But I just finished reading. I loved Bedros' book. The new one he's got, Man Up, was so good. I've read that a few times. I love it.
Yes. What about one of the all-time favorites? There's so many greats out there.
Oh my gosh. There's so many. I mean, The 4 Agreements is the one I love. There's a lot. I don't know that I'm a big reader. I've read hundreds of books. I'm constantly reading, and I like actual books. I won't read them on electronics.
That was my next question, to see if you're more of an.
Yeah. And I highlight and do all that. Yeah.
And how long does it take for you to read a book? Like, let's just say a 500, or like Bedros' book, the one that's.
His book, I read it in a day. I couldn't put it down. It was so good. And if I'm not in a book, I just stop reading it. So I don't make myself finish it. If it's boring, if it doesn't catch me in the first 2 chapters, I'm over it.
You're out.
Yeah. I don't have time for that.
No, absolutely not. But you make it a priority is the main thing I'm trying to get at. You make it a priority in life because you understand the importance of it.
Yes.
And that's huge.
Yes.
So you blew up. I mean, it's crazy to watch in 7 years. We talked about this before you jumped on. 7 years you've been really at this, right? The fitness world. Is that correct?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say, I don't even put myself, it's so funny. I wouldn't even consider myself like in the fitness world, but I know I get recognized for that. And like, that's awesome. I own it. But the reason I say that is yes, I have credentials, but I don't have the credentials like some of the people that have been doing it for 30 years. And so it just always feels so funny to me. I think the only thing that I'll say that sets me apart is I've just been really real time. Like my audience always knows what's going on in my life. And whatever I'm passionate about and learning is what they're learning about. When I was learning about nutrition, they were learning about that. When I was learning about fitness, they were learning about that. When I'm learning about business, social media, whatever, they're always learning what I'm learning. And that's what makes it authentic and real.
What are some of the tips on I know it's not your favorite thing right now as far as you're not as passionate, but you blew your social media up and you
initially.
And you know a thing or two. And obviously algorithms change and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody who's listening to this wants to get that little edge. Do you have any advice for them social media wise?
Number one, do it yourself. Don't hire somebody because number one, do it yourself because nobody else can be you and no one else is going to care as much as you. And it's not about like thinking, what should I, what have I, what is somebody else doing? It's like, what are you feeling? And the filter I usually put my social media through is like, is it adding value and how's it going to make someone feel? So if I'm going to put something up that's going to make somebody like not feel good about themselves, I don't put it up. So I think about what's my point behind this post?
The context behind the content.
Yeah. And I'm not saying every post is perfect like that, but the general filter is like, what is my point behind this? What am I going for with this?
That's such a great filter.
And if it's an ego thing, don't do it. Yeah.
Okay. That's where people have problems though, because there's being egotistical and having pride in something. Where is that fine boundary? I think that's where a lot of people are struggling. It's like, I don't want to put this on blast. Like I'm, the best thing in sliced bread, but I'm proud about it. So how do I approach it with letting people know that this is what I did? These are my clients that I've changed their life, or spoke on stage with this person, or I just launched this product, without people feeling like in their own head that people don't want to hear that. That's me being egotistical or too prideful or cocky.
I think it's just asking yourself, what's your intention? Like, I'm about to post this. What's my intention? And maybe your intention is, hey, I just feel really good about myself right now and I'm going to show it off to the world. Great. If that's your intention, do it. I'm not going to judge. Like, that's fine. Just be clear on your intention. Because I've had women tell me they're posting a picture of themselves in a thong and they're like, they want to know why they're getting haters when they're trying to attract overweight women that want to lose weight. I'm like, well, if you're an overweight woman wanting to lose weight and you're scrolling the feed and you see you with your thong, that makes me not like you. So that's why you're getting hate. But if your intention was to draw that, then great, you did it.
You keep talking about every question I ask you talk about the questions you're asking yourself. Our life, it's proportionate to the questions we ask ourselves. Is there any big questions? And you've already said some. Is there like one question overall that you ask yourself like all day to help you get closer to your goals?
I don't know that there's one question. I think I'm just a big questioner. I'm very curious and I'm always asking. It's questioning other people. It's questioning me. It's questioning there's always a like, but why? Like even my clients know, especially my fat loss client, when they say they want to be a size, whatever, my next question is why? And why? Because if you don't know your why, then it's really hard to get there.
It's the questions we ask ourselves. And it's just brilliant hearing you say it without even you realizing it.
Yeah.
It's unconscious conscious now. It's just happening. And
my husband was expressing that he hates being on social media. Like he just hates that. He wants to just do what he does and he does it really well. He's an amazing coach, but he hates the marketing himself on social media. And I asked him last night, I'm like, but then why are you doing it? And it's like the deeper we got with it, he's like, you're right. It's like he was doing it because he felt he was supposed to be doing it, not because he really felt it was adding value or he should be doing it.
How do you guys work together? So, I funny that husband-wife team.
Yeah, we don't know. I don't know. We've had our ups and downs with that for sure. We built business together and then we literally stopped completely working together for 2 years. And now we do run some business together, but we do very different roles. Yeah.
And do you guys disconnect at the end of the day or does
business? Yeah, we just don't manage each other in business, if that makes sense. Like that's our big thing is we can't tell each other what to do or we have to really focus on separate things there.
I like that. So if you see something that he's doing wrong,
I'll tell someone else to tell him.
Okay. That's actually a good idea though.
Yeah. It can't come from your wife. Yeah. No,
there's too much friction there.
Yeah.
A serious question. At the end of our day, we're going to go up to, the pearly white gates. What do you want him or her, that your version of the higher power, what do you want them to say to you?
I guess in the end, it would be that I did everything that I was meant to do. I mean, the biggest fear is not like, what are you going to fail at? It's like, did you really live to your potential? And I think about that all the time because especially at my age, I'm 47 and I think about like approaching 50, I get my own self-imposed stop of like, getting up there, getting old. Like, it's like, okay, but I still have so much in me. Like, am I really going for it? Am I really doing it? Like, are you really living life? Like, I believe that we all chose to be here. And I think we literally made a decision in a different field that we chose to have a human experience. And what are we doing with that? Like, I literally stopped being scared of things when I figured that out because, and I made it a pact, like every year on my birthday, I do something that scares the heck out of me because why not? This year I went paragliding. Last year I jumped out of an airplane. Like every year I just do something that's whatever's scaring me in the moment. Because I feel like why else are we here? If we're not making a difference with other people, if we're not actually living life and enjoying it, what's our point? Just to work and answer emails? I don't think so.
So good. So good. You talked about you're 47, which incredible, by the way. Way to like your books. And that book is called what again?
Aging in Reverse. It'll be out in May. Yeah.
In May. I want to talk about that in a minute. But you're aging in reverse, right? But people that are sitting there that are a little bit, feeling like maybe down themselves because they're too old to get into whatever business they're trying to, or step out of their corporate world and they're 40, 50, 60, whatever it might be. And that limited belief comes in, I am too old. Whether it's weight loss, no matter what it is, when that limited belief comes in, I am too old. What do you tell them so that they go ahead and check themselves?
Well, number one, it's if you say so, sure. Yeah. If you say you're too old, you're too old. And then it's really what are we validating and what are we surrounding ourselves with? Like, are you surrounding yourself with lots of people your age that are acting too old? Or are you surrounding yourself with people that are your age and older that are setting a new example and being different? Like, people are always so shocked with my age, which I think is so funny because I'm not anything special for 47. I do what I do and I'm living. I mean, yeah, I might have some aches and pains that I choose to not accept that that's because of age, like whatever. I just kind of put it out there. But like, as soon as we start believing that you're old and you fall apart, you're old and you fall apart. Like there's still stuff in you. And then like, I want to get real too with like the whole, like, let's talk about people that just really let themselves go. Like that doesn't help the matter. Like seriously, women, come on. Like, you don't need to let yourself go because you're getting older. Now, if you want to let yourself go to prove a point, great, but don't like rub it into the rest of us that you're too old. Like let's still go for it.
It hits the nail on the head there too, because you're right. I see people and they hit this age and I'm too old, and they put that in their head, but then you look at their surroundings and they let themselves go physically. That's their own doing. They're hanging out with people that are saying the same things. That's their own doing.
Yeah.
It is who you surround yourself with and what you say. It goes back to how you said you put the stuff on a vision board. Your mind doesn't know the difference, whether it's real or not real. So you
get a cute haircut, get a spray tan, and suck it up. I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm being kind of serious though. Like, go get a.
It's good.
Like, come on. Like, you just because you're a certain age doesn't mean you can't do things or look a certain way or whatever.
Go get it. Like, what the age is. Go.
Just how I feel.
Go get it. How you feel is right. How you feel is right. This is a point in time of the show here, Nat, where we're going to talk about 4 words. I'm going to say 4 words, and I want you on the top of your head, tell me what you think of. It could be an image. It could be a person, place, thing. I don't care. It could be a phrase. But I want you to tell me what you think of right away. Right?
Okay.
All right. So the first word is going to be failure.
Success.
Hustle.
Drive.
Success.
Winning.
Ooh, I like that. And I'm going to try to do a different one for you. Healthy.
Happy.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah. And I threw a different one at you because I usually do the same 4, but now I'm switching it up a little bit. So that was good. Good answers. I had one guy tell me when I said failure, he said puddle. I said,
puddle? I don't know. What does that mean?
I think it just means it's just a little puddle. It's nothing too big.
Oh, got it.
And you're good. All right. So I want to ask you one more thing before we dive into what's going on with Natalie. And this is the point in time show, guys, where if you haven't been taking notes, you need to start, because she is going to give you 3 things that you could implement immediately to be better today than you were yesterday. So 3 things in any realm. They could be from fitness. They could be personal. They could be in the business world, financial. What do you want to give them 3 things that they could implement immediately? I got my pen and paper ready.
So, one would just start. Whatever it is that you're thinking, just literally start it. Like, just go. Take an imperfect action and just start. It doesn't have to be massive action. It doesn't have to be a big step. Just start. Start something. Number 2, figure out your vision. Like, what is it that you actually want? Because if you don't know what you want and you're saying you're not happy, you're broke, you're whatever, but you're not clear on what you want, you're going to keep getting more of the things you don't want. So what is it that you actually want? And get super clear on your vision there. Like, what do you want? And 3, decide is my big thing. Deciding comes first with any transformation, with any change. You have to decide that's even possible. If you're still stuck in, it's not going to happen for me, I've tried everything, nothing works, it's too late, I'm too old, then you haven't decided. You've decided to give up. So decide that it's a possibility and it's going to happen, and it will.
Value is just dropped. The decide thing is people are deciding every day. Right?
Yes.
They're deciding that they're not going to do it and they're not good enough, or they're deciding that they are.
Yes.
And it's all about, and how would you make a better decision? What's one thing that you could help them with and say, this is how you make a better decision?
Just decide the opposite. I'm not even kidding. My slogan is excuses or solutions, you decide. And if someone gets offended at it, then that's perfect, because they're definitely not the right one for me, because that's how I figured that out. Because literally, if you are, it's making a decision that you are not going to tolerate that. I could name more excuses than you can imagine. And I'm not even going to name them right now, because that even gives them life or validation. But every excuse I would name, you could say, I get it. It would give, one example, I had a ruptured disc last year. because of a degenerative disc disease. It had nothing to do with something I was doing, but I got a ruptured disc. I ended up in emergency surgery and lost use of my right leg, completely lost use of my right leg. Okay. That's plenty of reason right there that I could have hung up and quit fitness and everything I'm doing. And no one would have argued with me. They'd be like, yep, she got injured. She's done. But it's like, I literally refuse to let that be an option. And it's what am I going to do? Now, I still don't have full use of my right leg back at all, and I had to moderate my exercises and what I do, but it doesn't matter. I'm still doing it. I found a way. I decided it was going to be possible, and I did. So it's a choice at every given moment. Like, do you decide that you're going to create, you're going to make the best of it, you're going to find a way, or do you decide to give up and settle?
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think somebody needed to hear that today. I don't know who you are out there, but you definitely need to hear that today, because that's something that a lot of people think, as far as that they create these excuses and utilize them as a reason not to do things. And you could just look at it as the opposite way, the opposite. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So tell everybody where they can creep on you, where they can find you,
Sure.
what you have coming up, and give them a lowdown.
Sure. Social media is Natalie Jill Fit. Website is Natalie Jill Fitness. I do have a podcast called Leveling Up, Creating Everything from Nothing. That's my passion project right now. And then what's coming up is in May, I have a book hitting stores called Aging in Reverse.
Yeah. Yes, guys, go follow her. Go get that book. Is it going to be on Audible? I'm just curious. I know you're not.
I'm sure it will be. Usually the Audible stuff comes after it hits stores.
Yeah. And is it a book for men and women?
Yeah, anyone can read it.
Great. Yeah. You guys, go follow her. Get her book when it comes out, and go look her up on the podcast, Leveling Up. Subscribe, follow it. And any last words you want to leave my audience with, some words of wisdom you want to drop on them?
Excuses or solutions, you decide.
One more time. So everybody can nice and loud and clear.
Excuses or solutions, you decide.
Yeah, buddy. Oh, man. Thank you so much, Natalie, for jumping on here. I appreciate you giving us some time today. Guys, do not forget to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you got value out of today, do two things. One, write a review and rate it, and tell Natalie what the one thing was that changed your life, changed your day, whatever it might be. And two, share it out to somebody that you know could use this podcast or use this episode to be better today than they were yesterday. Go follow me at Real John Marrone. But until next time, make sure you go follow my girl Natalie, and make sure you jump in here on the next podcast, and make sure you guys keep creating the ultimate version of you. Have a good one, guys.